masculinity? What even is a man? Well, it's just this way at the Dim Carnival.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dim Carnival. I'm Bill.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Ryan.
And this week we're talking about none other than Man's Myth, Volume 1 by Twiztid. And we're talking about the first 5 tracks off of this album, which are the introduction, Karma, Story of Our Lives, Won't Die, and Get It Right. So we're talking about those. These tracks were... Tracks Karma and Story of Our Lives were, they're all produced by different people. I'll fuck it up. We'll get there when we get there. All right. This came out on June 28th, 2005, and is a companion piece with the Volume 2, which is called Mutant. So it was a double album that was released a month apart, which is definitely how double albums work. So we're talking about the first 5 tracks off of this. I know Steve listens to this, has listened to this album a lot, has a lot of personal connections to it. I listened to it a few times back in the day, didn't pay very close attention to it, so this is the closest I've ever paid attention to this album before. I know that there are some tracks on this album that, like, I recognized immediately when they came up, because, like, certain tracks I, paid more attention to than others because they jumped out or whatever. Ryan, I don't think you have any exposure to this album prior to this?
Never heard a single note of this record.
I played it for you, don't remember.
Yeah, that's a lie. Never heard a note.
All right, well, let's go ahead and dive right into the introduction if you haven't taken a listen. Well, you don't have to do that. It's the introduction.
Take cover immediately. This is not a test. I repeat, this is not a test. You must take shelter immediately. Any kind of cover you have, seek it. This broadcast is off the air for all of our safety. God bless and Godspeed. We're all gonna die.
So let's just talk about it. I don't know if there's anything to talk about, guys. So, like, the introductions are going to, as is true with every Psychopathic Records release, they are going to set the tone. Every Psychopathic release, by and large, is a concept album to a certain extent. So I'll just be straight up with you guys, and maybe you can help me talk through this as we go. I cannot possibly tell you, at least based off of the first 5 tracks, what the fuck the concept of this album is, or what it's supposed to be about.
I had so many moments with this album so far where I had to really just stop and reassess whether I knew anything about anything anymore.
Just think about what life's like.
I used to think that I was really smart, and now, after having listened to this album, I don't know whether I'm not smart or smart anymore. I can't tell.
I love it. I agree. I don't think I paid attention to the lyrics back in the day as much as obviously when we're like scouring over it. But I mean, just starting with the intro, they say like a statement of something that happens to someone. And I don't know if we're supposed to assume that what they're saying is the ultimate truth or not. It's just someone's statement, but instantly it's myth. Oh, alien myth. Oh, you're gonna fight my war, myth. I'm like, wait, so are these things not happening? They're all myths? Like, what's myth? I don't understand why they're saying myth. Everything that they say this is a myth. And are they... So, like, are aliens real or not? Myth. I mean, did really Bush ask us to go fight in some wars? And I'm not going to tell you what it's about. And it's all myth. Like, I don't understand what the myth means. I mean, and I'm really hoping you guys could explain it to me. Back in the day, apparently I didn't care. listening to it this time, I was very confused and get like what you were saying. What the hell this out? Do they believe in karma and aliens, or is it a myth? Like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to take away from here. And who are they?
Man.
As you listen to the songs, and they're like talking about, they sound like they're angels sometimes, or prophets. So, like, who the fuck are they supposed to be in these songs? Because that's not who Twiztid was in these older albums. I'm getting ahead of myself, but I love this album. Don't get me wrong, but it's very confusing. And I listened to an interview, and I have some a little bit of insight on what they said about this album. So,
well, I have a theory that what they mean by myth is something that they were taught, or something that society has taught them that they're learning is not true. But they're using that same kind of thought to be like covering masculinity, or as an example, or aliens, the existence of aliens, you know?
yeah.
So it's like philosophy, religion, like science. They're questioning everything that they know, right? Literally questioning every single thing that they know. And I think what they're struggling with is that they, as artists, are thinking about this contemplation, trying to put it into words, and also wanting to kind of sound smart as they talk about it. And I just think that they're not quite smart enough, maybe, to fully like realize exactly, you know, and that's kind of a diss, but what I actually mean is that they're describing their process, and they're working through these things, and so they're not great at it because they're figuring it out.
That actually plays a big role, what you're saying, kind of in the interview I was listening to them when they talked about this album. So,
well, I'm a genius.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I cracked the code.
Is there anything more to say about the introduction, or should we move on?
Well, it does a really good parody of the 20th Century Fox music.
And I mean, Shaggy, right?
Shaggy's in there screaming, "We're all gonna die."
We're all gonna die. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that part's good.
Yeah.
But it's an alien attack, right? There's like a guy that gets abducted, and then
Yeah.
I assume that aliens was from the intro. I would think that aliens would be the theme.
Yeah, you would think, but it's not really. I think it's more of a paranormal over thing. I don't know. Like, before we jump into the next song, I guess a little bit of the timing of this album is the same year that The Calm came out, right? And The Calm, you know, had alien themes and new age stuff and karma stuff, and all of a sudden now Twiztid's talking about karma and aliens as well. So when I was listening to this back in the day, I kind of like thought like, oh man, these guys are so in sync, you know, like you know, they're out of that phase of the Dark Carnival, and you know, and ICP's got The Calm, and now Twiztid's got Man's Myth, and it's, you know, got these kind of alien and karma themes to it. And I just felt they were kind of similar in that. I don't know if you guys caught that.
No, yeah, absolutely. As soon as I saw the name of the song, I was like, Karma? Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Well, should we talk about it?
Let's talk about it.
All right, it's the first music track. The second track of the album is called Karma. If you haven't taken a listen, go ahead and listen right now.
Determine eternity unless you intervene with your man-made destiny in the midst that it would hold. You would never find the light as long as your eyes are closed. Are you going to hell or heaven? Did you walk with the sinners or pray with the reverend? Tell the truth, I did a little of both, but ain't no telling where I'm going till my body's a ghost.
Karma. It is a track that is produced by Fritz the Cat, our old friend. And it's about, ostensibly, it's about the concept of karma, and whether all the things that you do in life, is that going to result in you going to heaven or hell. And this is a song about how Twiztid's saying, you know what? We did a little bit of both. We did a little bit of sinning, and we did a little bit of the opposite of sinning.
Praying.
Oh.
I don't know. I can't remember what he says the opposite is.
Yeah, you walk with the sinners or pray with the reverend.
Right, there you go. Praying. Yeah, here we got, this is the Dark Carnival right here, right? Face your
But they
judgment.
don't say that, though.
I mean,
because Twiztid's always doing their... Twiztid's rarely talking about the Dark Carnival on their own.
Yeah.
Left to their own devices, they don't give a fuck.
right, and that's why I'm saying I feel like they're doing their own kind of spin on the idea, like they're kind of twistifying or whatever. They got the Dark Carnival karma thing happening over there. Well, this is kind of how we feel about it, you know. That's what I assumed it was, because they're using the same lingo, you know. For
sure. And what they were saying in that interview I was talking about, I don't know the name of it was like a podcast of the interview. It came out a few weeks back, and it's like a half-hour interview, and they talk about the Green Book and then Mansmith and Mutant, and so for this particular album, it was funny because Monoxide was like, oh, this album, like when we came out with it, like it's very angry, and it's kind of like our first album on Psychopathic, but like an angrier version. But then Mad Rocks was kind of like, I feel like more of this album was these two albums where we were confused and where we were going. And he starts saying about how like they felt when they were making this album, and with Green Book as well, was they felt like they were building a foundation for Psychopathic Records and continuing building like the fan base and what the scene looks like, and they weren't doing something specifically for themselves. And so Monoxide said he felt like, or not Monoxide, but Mad Rock said he felt like they were really lost in this album, and he doesn't seem to really care for these, like this album and the next one very much. Even to the point where sometimes he says when he listens to the catalog just to hear stuff, if one of the songs from this album comes on, he's like, oh, like what song is that? And he has to like remember it because it's so far out of, like, he doesn't really care for this. So, and it was interesting because like I said, Monoxide didn't have that idea when he like talks about this album. He just thinks it's angry. But I feel like it makes sense with Monoxide because like, and he said they were building family. He said between like, especially with after Mirror Mirror and going into the Green Book, they were like trying to build like the concept of Juggalo family a lot, and he felt like that was a big part of this album, which is, you go through songs, that is a big part of this album as well. So but he said that he just felt lost. So it's very interesting to hear that about this for this album. And like they doesn't really necessarily care for it. Like obviously they like their music from the future a lot more than this music, and this is like my favorite album.
That really plays with that whole thing that you just laid out. For me, it really lines up kind of the rest of my thoughts about the album, the remaining tracks and stuff. So that kind of gave me a whole new perspective. That's pretty rad.
Yeah, you should look up that interview. It's pretty badass.
Yeah, couldn't do that.
I was actually really interested. Like, what was cool too is I didn't know who the guy was doing the interview, but they were talking about Scarface and Bushwick Bill being on the Green Book. And so when the fellow who was doing the interview said, oh yeah, I met like Scarface in Texas when I was managing the Dillinger Escape Plan. And I was watching that, I went, oh shit. And then like Mad Rock goes, oh shit. At the same, it was really funny because, and it was cool because then they talked about Dillinger Escape Plan a little bit, and like the fact that Jamie Mad Rocks knows who that band is was really cool to me. Anyways, you can cut that out.
No, that's cool.
No, I definitely won't.
Nothing gets cut out.
Yeah. I will say too that this, to bring it all together in the same point, the very first note of this song, it's the exact same note that's in Crop Circles. And it's like the same note and the same sustain, and even the like chanting, it's really like structured to basically, it's like a really similar music to Crop Circles.
Yeah, definitely. I think the music on this album is pretty great, and certain tracks way more than others, but like I think that this is a very solid album in terms of production. The other thing that sort of stood out to me is like, we've talked in the past about how like Jamie is like a more solid like lyricist and a more solid MC than Monoxide, like on average, but they're both very talented. But like I feel like there's a lot of tracks on this album where it sort of jumps out like how much better Jamie is than Monoxide. But maybe I'm alone in that.
I can't say that I noticed that, but
I like a lot of what Monoxide does, and
Sure.
I'm super biased really liking his solo album more than Jamie, but like at the end of the day, absolutely almost every single thing that happens on a song where Jamie's on is always better. And I hate to say it, but like it just is. I
think that they work really well together because
Sure.
they
Yes.
balance each other out.
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
Jamie's like impulses tend to pull him, like if he's left to himself, his impulses tend to pull him towards more like talking about his own butt and how much he wants somebody to touch it. And like Monoxide's impulses like lead him to be like a little bit more chill and talk about a little bit more serious stuff. And I think that like when they're on tracks together, Monoxide's presence sort of makes Jamie feel like he has to be a little bit more serious. I don't know. That's just me projecting what I get out of the music onto the music.
Nah, man, I'm right there with you, because I just realized as we're having this conversation that I like Monoxide's personality more, and I like his aesthetic more, and so that colors and shades my interpretation or my valuation of his ability, because I tend to like his style and things he talks about more. And I love and appreciate what Jamie does. To me, it comes across as more fun and bright. And Monoxide's the more like kind of grimy and angry guy. And so, yeah, I would say that if I could remove that lens, then I would have to agree with you guys about Jamie's talent.
Well, doesn't that even make sense what you just said with what they said in their interview, where Monoxide felt like that was an angry album and Jamie felt like they were lost?
Right. Yeah, I guess it makes sense. Huh?
And one of the things I couldn't help but think as you were explaining that is how Jamie's like Batman and Dungeons and Dragons, and he sings a lot about black magic, where Monoxide is more gangsta and real and like a cigarette pot smoker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I could see why, like, even if you think one person has a better talent and maybe even more the creative person in the group, there's something more real about Monoxide a little bit. And it's like, Bill,
definitely.
And you had said something a few episodes back where you were saying like Mad Rocks is like the least gangsta looking guy in like any of the psychopathic people that you'd seen.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Just
and
like,
that was what was awesome.
A ginger.
And that was what was awesome about that interview was like, they showed that podcast or the Dillinger Escape Play guy, and then Monoxide was like, he was super baked, and he was like in like this really harsh yellow lighting, and then Jamie, like, his hair was all combed nice, and he was wearing just like a black hoodie. Like, he looked all like I don't know, just like normal. It was really funny and cool. and he was like way more level headed and was getting super frustrated throughout the interview because he kept getting interrupted by Monoxide. It's a great video. I mean, I'll find it and send it to you guys.
Please do.
And yeah, it's a good interview.
Nice. I look forward to watching it. All right. Anything else to say about this track, or shall we move on?
Yeah.
Move on.
Okay. The next track is Story of Our Lives, and if you haven't listened, go ahead and take a listen right now.
Trains on your girl's caboose. Don't believe in the truth. We gon' fight until somebody here dies. I've been here since 1865 and no lies. This is the story of our lives. Come and take a look at my eyes. Keep
Now I want everybody listening to say this. Twiztid is the motherfucking shit.
Yes.
It's a very strong way to start a track.
Yeah.
Also, very closely after that, he says, as I walk in the shadow of death, I bitch slap his ass and then light a cigarette. Yeah, this is a great.
This is a banger.
This is a jam.
Yeah.
This is exactly what I expect and want from Twiztid. Like, this is yes. This is that. This is like their lane to me.
And so something else I really love about this track, other than the track itself, is they mix it up on this track, and as opposed to like the majority of like 2-person rap songs or multiple person rap songs, or even a lot of Twiztid songs, they do Monoxide first verse, both of them second verse, and then Jamie third verse. Like, usually it's like one MC takes the first verse, the second MC takes the second verse, and then they switch off the last verse.
Yeah.
But this one, they mix it up a little bit, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah. Isn't that rad? Have you guys seen the video?
Oh my gosh. So I usually listen to these tracks that we do for the episodes on YouTube, and on the playlist that I was listening or watching, it was all just the same, no video or whatever, maybe because this is the only video, but this one was the one that was different from the other ones, and it was the music video. So I ended up watching it, 5 or 6 times.
I didn't know there was a music video.
It is, because it is that good. It is incredible.
I have a funny story, and I'll make it super short. Back, I lived on 34th and Balboa back in the day, and I had my PlayStation 2, I think. I was using it as a DVD player, and I'm pretty sure this, if you bought the album, came with a DVD that had this video and some other stuff on it.
Oh, yeah, so I probably have seen it then.
Yeah, and I put it in, and I remember I was home alone for the weekend, and I was playing games, and then got late, and I started listening to music, and I put this video in, and I was very intoxicated and fell asleep on the couch watching this video, and then like 4 hours later, I woke up, and apparently, like, the way my PlayStation was set up, it just kept looping it. So I woke up, and it was still playing, and it super freaked me out. And I was like, where the hell am I? What the fuck is this music? What is that? It was pretty awesome.
It's like when Robbie fell asleep on Ryan's couch watching The Ring.
Oh my god, it scared the shit out of me.
Because the animated menu just kept looping the creepy sounds from The Ring.
Yeah, like I just woke up to those sounds in the other room, and the TV like flickering, and a girl climbing out of it.
That's amazing. That's all I got for that song. I love that song.
Well, it is okay. So it is literally the song is. Sorry, Steve. The song is it's the story of their lives a little bit, right? It's just them just kind of talking about themselves, kind of styling a little bit, and just kind of boasting, having fun.
The whole putting a voodoo spell on a shirt, so when they read it, they become
creatures.
That's an amazing genius.
That's like the highlight of the whole track, basically. Yeah. We write voodoo sayings on the fronts of t-shirts so that when people read them, they will become creatures. Like, that's so fucking like, that's like true, like, black metal shit. That's
yes, black metal shit. Yes.
Okay, but there's some really cool things that he says, but there's also some like wrinkle your forehead lines, like calling themselves the incredible edible white chocolate rappers.
Rappers, no, that makes sense. The tracks. We came on the scene busting your cabbage patch backwards.
I know that's
G-I-D-D-I.
I mean, it's like a very, very typical Jamie Madrox verse. So I'm not trying to like hate on it, but. You know.
Well, he is saying it's the story of their lives. Like, they came in like really hard, but nobody took them seriously because they're white rappers. And they were born
incredible
connected, like
edible.
Siamese. Yeah.
They also say that they're in this. They make some kind of serious statements of things like, we're not in this for money. We're in this to change lives. And so that's like what you were saying, Steve, about building the Juggalo family kind of ideas.
Yeah.
We're in it to reach folks and change lives.
It was all about family. That was what Mad Rocks kept saying. They were trying to build family.
I don't know if you guys noticed this, but Jamie Madrox does he rhymes appeal with apple peel.
So conceal the unreal if the fruit is mass appeal, will the worms eating away from under the apple peel? It's not that bad. He rhymes mass appeal with apple peel, not appeal with apple peel.
I love this song. It's great. And the video is amazing. The video is so good.
So good.
And I also like that. So the end of the very end of this track basically is like a straight up callback to the previous track, Karma, because he says, "Now, do you really need a shovel to dig it? And with the flip of a coin, we can be righteous or wicked."
Love that line.
Yeah. Like it's sort of like, and not just a callback, but also just like, it's basically just undermining everything that they just said, because they're saying like, no, and I think that's intentional, because the karma's all about like the idea of like, are you going to pay for the evil that you've done in your life? And then in this track, they're immediately saying like, no, it's fucking chaos. Like we'll do whatever we feel like, or we'll do whatever like fate dictates we do, or chance or whatever.
Totally, but I think it also explains like just how they are as rappers, because they write songs about like being a good person and doing the right thing, and then they also write songs about killing people or whatever.
True.
Yeah.
Mercilessly.
Yeah, and so it kind of explains. It's like we can have a fun song and joke and be happy, and we can also do the wicked shit. Yeah, I want to kill.
Yeah. All right, shall we move on to the next track?
Speaking of killing.
Yeah. All right, the next track is Won't Die. And if you haven't taken a listen to that, go ahead and take a listen right now.
One back, second blast. Hit me in the ribs, but luckily I shifted all my vital organs. Now the good arm is covering a big old it's open, leaking out my soul. They keep on trying, but I won't die, and it hurts so bad.
Now, it's pretty standard on every Twiztid album. There's going to be a track about how Twiztid can be killed. On Freak Show is We Don't Die. Now it's Won't Die.
Wait,
so is it you don't die, or is it that you won't die?
Isn't there a phone call story that leads into this song?
Sure. I don't know.
Isn't there a skit that ends this that song going into Won't Die? Or is it after Won't Die?
I don't know.
I don't know if there was. I didn't make a note of it.
Yeah.
Now, hold on.
Wait just a minute here. Now see here, good sir.
Yeah, at the end of the Story of Our Lives.
Yeah.
There's the phone call.
Yes, I remember now. It's with Shaggy and Jamie, I believe.
I don't know if it's Shaggy. I thought it was. I don't know. It might be Shaggy.
To me, it sounded like Shaggy, but
yeah, I thought so too. But
it's like a guy like Jamie, I believe, calls his friend, and he's crying, and he's like, and insinuates that he killed someone.
Yeah.
And then the twist is that he's just trying to trick his friend into coming over so that he can kill him too.
You moment in there. Man, I'll kill your ass too.
You're not gonna come because you know I'll kill you too.
Well, I mean, that's kind of important because on Mutant they reference that again. So I at least wanted to call out that skit because it gets referenced in the next album.
No, I didn't take notes about skits this time around, and I apologize.
All right, I apologize.
No, I definitely didn't hear that skit because I only watched the video.
Oh.
Oh.
So I didn't get to hear the skit.
Well.
Yep.
Well,
Hoisted by my own petard.
it's an amazing. Well, later on, please go listen to that sketch and just.
It sounds amazing from what you just did it for me.
It's so funny. But all right, so then it goes into the next song. Okay, sorry.
Here we are. Now we won't die.
And now but good skit. Thank you for reminding me.
It's a really good skit. It's
very good.
It's really funny.
So don't die, won't die.
Won't
Which
die.
is it? Won't die.
Whatever.
Well, I want to
But,
say.
yeah.
Sorry, I want to say the first two tracks, the last two that we just talked about, Story of Our Lives and the first track, Karma, both of those tracks were produced by Fritz the Cat and ROC together, apparently. This track that we're about to talk about and the next one were both produced by Lavelle. And
Of Road Fools fame.
right. And the thing about Lavelle is he's got some telltale, I guess all music producers probably do, but he basically always has like a keyboard, like a sustained keyboard sound, either like a wah really high or like a wah really low, and then some Galaga pew, 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 like video game alien sounds in the background. And so that's how you can tell that it's Lavelle.
And now that you said Lavelle, I'm pretty sure on Mutant, when they say, hey, have you heard from Lavelle? He said he's going to kill Mom. Give me a call back. And it goes into the next song. So I think that's supposed to be Lavelle, who's the guy who's saying he killed someone and he's going to kill him. You want me there?
All right.
Nice.
Cool. Thanks for talking about an album we're not going to get to for 4 weeks.
No, but...
keep talking about it.
No, but...
No, I like it. I appreciate it.
I
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Say that's how the songs interacted. It's Lavelle.
Cool.
Your mom.
Aw.
The main note that I wrote about this song is not dying lots of words.
Yep. You got it. It's a good song. It's fun. Is this the one where Violent J sings the hook, or is that a different
Yes. Or it's Violent J or the guy from that band.
It hurts so bad.
What's that
Yeah,
band
I think
called?
it is Jay.
Yeah. What band? The Electric
Zug
band?
Island band.
Zug
yeah.
Island, yes.
Yeah, the guy Jay.
Sometimes that's what I wrote in my notes. Is that Violent J or Zug Island?
But yeah, I really like it's fun. It's a fun song about people trying to kill these guys and they won't die. The weakest part is the very last verse where so it was trying to wrap Jimmy Madrox in aluminum foil and put a jumper cable on his ear and try to push him in the rain. The most convoluted death I've ever seen.
It's
like
sound.
Like everything's like so good up until then, and then it's like, try to electrocute me. I'll just go with that.
Yeah.
But as he says, aluminum electrofoil, like he's getting electrocuted. It's so bad. I love it. Oh my god, I love every song on this album except for one.
This is a good song. But I do want to, while we're talking about being unable to be killed, if anyone out there likes like horror comedy at all, I can't recommend enough the movie He Never Died, starring Henry Rollins, and it's on Netflix. It's a black comedy horror film, and it's so fucking good. And it's good like explicitly because Henry Rollins is in that role, and it's like taking like the most like angry person in the world and like trying to make him like completely like emotionless, and like this guy who's holding back all this like crazy like power and ferociousness, and it's so fucking funny. It's just like because of him.
I have such a good fucking movie, dude. I'm so happy you said that.
They're good. And they're supposedly like gonna make like a sequel or a sequel series or something, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'll be down.
Unless like coronavirus like fucked it, but we'll see.
No, they're gonna rehire Nicolas Cage to play Henry Rollins.
Oh,
I'll be time, but my friends call me high.
He took my head. He took my wife. Tommy has his head. Tommy has his wife.
I was stopping now because I could do this all night, and I'm not going to.
Shall we move on to the next track?
Please.
All right. This is the last track we're talking about this week, and it's called "Get It Right."
It's good. Shut up.
If you haven't taken a listen to it, go ahead and take a listen right now.
I was sleeping, she was grabbing to get her hand in something sharp, put it to her neck and started jabbing. All the doctors are wrong, I can't believe that she's gone, and now I'm taking the medicine she was hooked on. I don't know what to believe anymore.
Okay, here we finally get,
Hey, buckle up, everybody.
we finally get the
You better get it
say
right.
the title. Finally say the title in a track here, apart from the introduction. It says live or breathe, or might not. Wait, okay, so I try to figure out what the fuck he's saying. Okay, says Jamie says, now ask yourself, are there really things that go bump in the night, or are we taught as children to have fright for things that might live or breathe or might not even exist? Because fear is a son of a bitch of man's myths.
Yeah, don't you get it, Bill?
Fear is man's myth. The true myth was man. Mm-hmm.
My first note, I don't know what to believe. I don't know what to believe.
That was what I was saying at the beginning of this podcast. These are all what?
Okay, so
It doesn't make any sense. That's why.
when I was saying before about how they're questioning everything, so this is kind of what I took from the verses. Church is bad. That's they grew up being taught that church is good, but now they're thinking, oh my gosh, what if church is bad? There's no such thing as monsters. They grew up thinking that they were real, but there's nothing in the closet. It's just fear. Okay. Medicine is bullshit. That's
Yep.
That's an interesting thing to be questioning. And then the last one, I'm not so sure. The final concept, I assume, is some kind of like Big Brother thing. It's like supervision or technology.
So the very last thing Monoxide raps about was my favorite part of the track, because it was like, oh no, it's not the last thing. I'm sorry. It's the medication part. Medication part that Monoxide does is my favorite part of the track, because it's someone who wakes up and he's like, so the Monoxide thing says, now I just woke up and I really don't know what happened. She was laying there bleeding on the mattress, and I, like every other track off of every other Psychopathic album, would have been, oh, I murdered someone in my sleep, or I blacked out and murdered someone.
Yep.
But this track is, the twist is, he did not kill this person.
Yeah.
This person died of a drug, or is dying of a drug overdose, or dying because they had a psychotic break because of prescription drugs or self-medication. And
I had a note on that.
Yeah, it's
I just like that's it's not about like someone like committing violence to a woman. It's about someone being horrified at someone inflicting violence upon themselves.
And I was just gonna say, like, and then he's addicted now to the medicine. Like, his doctor put him on the same medication that she was on that made her do that.
Right, that's like the horror part of it, where you're
that is
fuck. Yeah, so rad. Such a great storytelling moment. Yeah.
Yeah, to me, this is like a conspiratory aspect of like I'm not gonna. It's not as drastic necessarily as anti-vaxxers, but this is kind of, to me, what their anti-vaxxer part of conspiracy theories would be. Because especially if you remember back when when this song came out, they had approved medication company or pharmaceutical companies to release commercials, and but if they released a commercial, they had to say what the side effects could possibly be. And so if you're a conspiracy theory person, it's very easy to listen to these commercials and hear that, like, these outliers of people who take this medication that, like, especially if you listen to some of the medications for mental health issues, especially for depression, like, the outlier could be that some people have more suicidal thought. And that's, to me, what I always thought when I heard this song was, like, they're like, oh, they're like kind of like feeding on that whole idea of taking medications that are supposed to stop you from wanting to kill yourself, make you want to kill yourself more. And then he witnesses it, and now he's prescribed it, and holy crap, it's super scary. And this album's a very conspiracy theory style album. So I liked
hard
it,
agree.
But I liked it, but also, very can feed into, misinformation about how important mental health, or medication that can assist with mental health can do. So you want to be very careful on how you talk shit about medication. You know what I mean? But it was 2005, and Alex Jones was just a baby at that time. He wasn't so scary yet.
You know what, though? I, like, sort of had a similar thing happen in my life, like growing up really affluent, in San Diego, and then going away to college was the first time that I was, like, kind of taking care of myself and living in a diverse group of people, and started learning about institutional racism, systemic racism, and larger issues or whatever. And that sort of awakening, and also just learning, like, that was, I also read, like, Howard Zinn and stuff like that. And so I was at a place where I was distrustful of any established knowledge that I thought that I had.
Sure.
And that is not a productive way to live your life, but it's definitely, like, a phase that I feel like I went through. And conspiracy theories in that state are so enticing, because it feels like something that you can know. And it also, I think what I've heard is really the most appealing thing is that you don't have to be smart to understand a conspiracy theory, but it makes you feel smarter than everybody else because they don't know about it,
Yes, preach it.
Ryan, when this song came out, I was still conspiracy theory person. My whole life I was raised conspiracy theory person. When I was very young, before 10 years old, I was looking for the Antichrist and knew what the New World Order was and the Illuminati was, all this stuff. And then when I, like, stopped being a Christian in 2001 era, like, that's, the conspiracy theory didn't stop for me. It took a long time for me to really start to deconstruct the way conspiracy theories make so much sense, especially when you're an idiot. And I shouldn't say it like that.
You're correct.
but especially uneducated on how things work.
They're very appealing to undereducated people.
Yeah, and that was me. And even when I got educated and I was going to state and I was doing all this stuff, like, I let myself slip from one type of extremist ideology on the right to one maybe more on the left. And it took me forever to break that type of idea that there's, like, could be some kind of conspiracy on a world scale level, that even could make sense. It took me a really long time. I mean, embarrassingly enough to say, it took me a long time to even get past George Bush did 9/11 and jet fuel can't melt steel beams. Like, I was that meme at one point.
Well, let me ask you this, Steve. When Get It Right came out, when Man's Myth came out, had the liberals made the frogs gay at that point?
I wasn't. I hadn't heard.
Had the liberals made the frogs? Just answer the question, Steve.
I didn't know who Alex Jones was at that time because that was before my time. I don't know. I'm sorry. Yes.
I eat meat.
I'm sure it's true. I'm sure it happened in the 90s. We just learned about it in the 2010s.
Well, so the difference between but you had the good conspiracies, Steve.
Oh
Coast
man.
to Coast AM or whatever.
You know what? 1981, I was about 5 or 6 years old. I knew the name of the book, The Late Great Planet Earth. Bam! Antichrist coming, boom. Conspiracy Theory City. That shit wrote it all.
All of it.
It's not true, because really, like, a lot of it was stolen from, the Birch Society or whatever. Which was, like, in the 30s or 40s or whatever. But, it goes so far back. The conspiracy of the conspiracy goes farther back than the conspiracy. Holy shit. Can we go to the next song?
No, because that's next week.
Oh, my
We're
God.
done. Fucking done. All right.
Well, speaking of next week,
wrap up this. We can wrap this track, I guess. No final words about Get It Right. We're done with these 5 tracks.
They got it wrong.
Oh no.
Oh no, I really like that song. Honestly, no joke. It's a badass song. I really enjoy that song.
I think everything this week's been great.
Yeah.
Looking forward to next week.
I think that this week has been good. Not as good as Season of the Pumpkin.
Yeah, well.
I'm sorry.
So next week we'll be talking about the next 5 tracks off of Man's Myth, which are So High, Off the Chain, Controversy, Get Ready, and Fuck You, Part 1. So thanks to everybody for listening. As always, we love you guys. If we missed anything, if we got anything wrong, if you want to tell us what Man's Myth is actually about, send us an email at dimcarnival@gmail.com. And we want to know what the theme of this theme album is. So that's that. Dim Carnival on Instagram and Twitter. Ryan kills it on the Instagram account. Follow Dim Carnival on YouTube. He's doing great stuff over there as well. Got some Halloween content for you up there, over there. You can follow me on all social media at Sundown Motel. And until next week, I'm Bill.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Ryan.
And this whole podcast you just listened to was, in fact, a myth.